and welcome to ILTV's Evening Update. I'm Aaron Porras here with the latest news from Israel.
Good news for Israeli lovers of Lamb and The Lord of the Rings. Israel and New Zealand are set to restore full diplomatic ties in the near future. Israel recalled its ambassadors from New Zealand in December after it sponsored a UN Security Council resolution that attacked Jewish presence in Jerusalem and the West Bank. The move follows the renewal of relations between Israel and Senegal, another sponsor of the resolution. Reportedly, Israel was angry with New Zealand not just for sponsoring the resolution, but for doing so without notice. The New Zealand foreign minister visited Israel just weeks before the resolution and even met with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu for around 90 minutes without mentioning New Zealand's plans. The new foreign affairs minister wrote a letter to Netanyahu on Israeli Independence Day asking to resolve diplomatic differences. A 19-year-old Palestinian resident of East Jerusalem has just been arrested on suspicion of incitement to violence and terrorism after police reportedly found terror-supporting posts and photos on his social media accounts. Police announced today that they have detained the man, with the court granting an additional 4 days of remand. Since the year-long wave of small-scale violence, popularly known as the Stabbing Intifada, kicked off in fall 2015, Israeli security forces have taken it on themselves to patrol Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Many attackers announce their plans to commit terrorist acts on social media, and others say they take inspiration from radical content that they see on their smartphones and computers. In April, police arrested 2 other East Jerusalem residents for suspected incitement on Facebook, and during their search of the suspect homes, they reportedly found media materials related to incitement. Former Israeli Defense Force Chief of Staff and Defense Minister Moshe Allen has a fairly negative prognosis of things. In an interview with the Times of Israel today, he's saying that Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan is intentionally flooding Europe with Muslims in an attempt to Islamize the continent. He also says there are no chances for a permanent agreement between Israel and the Palestinians, and advises United States President Donald Trump to give up on his efforts. Yalon says Erdogan is acting like a leader of the Muslim Brotherhood, heavily subsidizing flights from Turkey to Europe for Muslim migrants, and encouraging Turks in Europe to increase their birth rate. He argues that Erdogan is funding mosques and Islamic centers in the Balkans in an effort to expand Turkish and Islamic hegemony there. When it comes to the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas and the Palestinians, he's equally pessimistic. He says that the gap between Israel and a so-called Palestinian moderate like Abbas is still enormous. Abbas is unwilling to agree on even an interim agreement and unwilling to recognize a Jewish state. Yalon says that when Palestinians speak about the occupation, they're referring to Israel's founding. He doesn't see any way Trump can bridge that gap, and suggests that Trump focus on improving the Palestinian economy and infrastructure while reforming the hate-filled Palestinian educational system. The Israeli ambassador to the United States, Ron Dermer, is saying that people should be patient with United States President Donald Trump when it comes to Iran. Dermer concedes that Trump is not keeping his campaign promise to rip up the Iran deal, but he says that Trump is very aware that the agreement is not in the interest of the United States. He expects a real pushback against Iran, and in his analysis, the United States has to get its ducks in a row before going after the country Trump called the world's largest sponsor of terror. Dermer, the mind behind Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's controversial speech to Congress 2 years ago, says that the speech enhanced Israel's position more than any other non-military act. In his view, it showed the international community that Israel is not a vassal of the United States. Abu al-Hir was sentenced to 15 concurrent life sentences in 1969 for planting explosives that killed 2 people and injured many others. In 1983, he was released along with almost 5,000 other terrorists in exchange for 6 Israeli soldiers captured in the First Lebanon War. His release was conditioned on him never returning to Israel. Since 1983, he's lived in Greece, but for reasons unknown, he tried to illegally enter Israel and was arrested. The Israeli parole board has now ruled that he will now finish his 15 life sentences in prison. His lawyers are arguing that his probationary period ended over the last 34 years, but their parole board says that al-Hir fully understood the terms of his parole and violated it willingly and knowingly.
That's all for now. Stay tuned on ILTV.tv for our main daily broadcast playing after this. I'm Aaron Porras, and see you next time with our morning briefing from Israel at 8 a.m. Eastern Time.